Good morning, beautiful viewers. I want to use this medium to welcome us to today's International Institute for African Scholars workshop, themed Value Chain Approach and Transformation of Agri-Produce to Pharmaceutical and Food Products. And we will be having important personalities talk to us today, likes of Dr. Peter Sherrill, Dr. Ejike Oji, Dr. Chima Nwosu, Dr. Anastasia Ash, Dr. Okono, and Baba El Nafati. My name is Okilo Juliet, reporting for Theras TV. Right here with me is one of our guest speaker, and I'll be giving him to Mike to tell us who he is in a few seconds. Sir, can we know you?
My name is Ukono. I call myself Global Snail Value Chain Evangelist and Consultant. And when I say that, I mean every word of it. Things that has to do with snail, from rearing of snail to what you do with snail, with the byproducts, and product from the byproducts. Basically, that's me, Ukono.
So would you be okay if I refer you as Evangelist Ukono, because I heard you say something about evangelist.
My name is Ukono, and that's good enough.
All right then. Okay, Mr. Okono, can you tell us what you have for us today?
Okay, what I'm here today is to actually share with the world how from snail value chain we can go into pharmaceuticals, go into cosmetics and food. Like my presentation is about SVC to PCF, which is snail value chain to pharmaceuticals, cosmetics, and food. That's what I'm going to be talking about today. And that will involve from a bit of farming of snails to harvesting the snails to using the byproducts of snails to do something like this is a from snail slime, okay? And there are lots of them. This is just a sample. This is something from snail shell. This is a powder from snail shell. All this can be used for cosmetics and for medicine as well. Even with this shell, the thing you rub on your finger, even on your lips, part of it is part of what is there. So there's so much to do with snail when it comes to snail value chain.
That's beautiful. So, what's the advantage of all this you've mentioned to our Nigerian youth out there?
Okay, the advantage, let me start from saying that it will help to alleviate poverty from Nigerian youth. It will help to empower them for those of them that are very serious. Also, it will help to take them out of the streets. If we are able to have like clusters of snail farms where you're going to have fruits and vegetables and tubers with the snails around and get them in there to work, and at the maturity of the snails can be harvested, and now with the slime extraction machine you extract the slime from the snail without killing the snails, using the slime extracted for pharmaceuticals, for cosmetics, and other things that I need to do. So for the Nigerian youth, if government really helps to, back these projects. In fact, there's a campaign we are carrying which is titled Mining the Jewel in Snail Value Chain, leading to from farm to better health, beauty, and wealth.
So, can you tell us a little more about that campaign because we're very interested?
Okay, if you're very interested in the campaign will involve us, like seminars like this we're going to be doing, going on national TV, coming to Theras TV, and other TV. You can call us. We'll come and tell the world a lot more about what you can do with snail value chain. Like I said again, it's going to be titled Mining the Jewel in Snail Value Chain, from farm to better health, beauty, and wealth.
Amazing. Looking at all you've outlisted now, you would see that there is so much advantage to all this snail value chain you've mentioned. So, how do you advise us, or how do you advise the Nigerian youth out there to start? How do they start from the basis? So, how can you start up if you just want to start on your own, being self-employed or whatever you want to?
My advice is first of all, whoever want to start to go through basic training, because if you don't learn something, you're not going to know it. So if you learn how to rear snail, that's the first, first to start, and then go through the value chain. You may not rear snail, but you can bite into any part of the value chain of snail. You can buy snail, you can bottle and can the snail meat and sell. You can also get the shell, grind the shell, and sell to companies that need it as input to livestock feed and other things. So, like the first thing is get the training done, decide on the kind of species of the snail you want to rear, decide on the kind of housing you want to house your snail, the feeding you want to feed the snail, natural or combined with the formulated feed. And there you go, you start.
That's just the training you need.
That is it.
Wow, this is truly amazing, I must say. Thank you very much for giving us this little lecture, and we really do appreciate. So, what's the good messages to people coming over here today? What do you want to tell them?
The goodwill message to them is I want them to like look deeper into what snail can offer, the value chain, not snail farming. Snail value chain can offer a whole lot. If those who are coming in today, or maybe the recorded presentation, they can go back. They can also contact us to get more into what is happening. In fact, as we speak, you talked about youth. I came in from a farm in Badagry, Lagos State Badagry Processing Farm, teaching youth on snail value chain, and I'm heading back there. So it's gathering momentum in this country, and I want a lot more people to know that snail value chain has come to stay. Not just to eat the snail, but to eat the snail for good health, for better living, and also for business.
Thank you very much. We are very, very happy to have this conversation with you. It's really a pleasure, sir. Please do have a lovely day. We're here with Dr. Oji Ejike, the SSAA to the Minister of Health. Okay, to the Minister of FCT, Health and Hospital Management. Sir, please, can we know you? Just tell us who you are again, so people would know that, yes, this is you.
Yes, my name is Dr. A.G. Kelji. I chair the Management Committee Association for the Advancement of Family Planning, and then also the CSO focal point for FP 2030 for Nigeria.
Sir, can you tell us what this presentation is all about? And are you a guest speaker, or what are you present?
Yes, I'm a guest speaker here. This presentation is going to take people through what the population growth challenges that we have right now, and then what we can do in terms of human capital development. I was so delighted to know that they are doing this meeting and then using agriculture as the main centerpiece. In my presentation, I'm going to highlight the importance of building capacity for young people in terms of knowledge, in terms of formal and informal education. And then in the area of informal education come skills and abilities in the agricultural sector. And then the ability to harness the value chain in the agricultural sector that will make it possible for young people to get employed or even employ themselves. Because only when we do that, I will be able to come out of the population crisis that we are in now. A lot of people do not know or not even agree that the problem we have is due to population dynamics, where we have 72% of our population under the age of 30.
Okay, sir, can you tell us what this presentation is all about, and the advantage and the benefits to our Nigerian youth out there?
Well, the advantage here is that this presentation will speak to the opportunities that are out there for the young people of Nigeria, the teeming population of Nigerians. Like I earlier say, 72% of our population under the age of 30. And that is the able and young hands who can be gainfully employed in the agricultural subsector. But it's not just for them to be agric or field hands. They can also go into the other value chains, that processing, marketing of the agricultural products. Because 70% of income in the agricultural sector is actually in the value add chain, not just the primary products or primary production. So this presentation is going to highlight that piece in the 5 deliberate steps we have to take if we have to go from crisis through transition and dividend based on our population. So it's going to be a very wonderful and important input.
So looking at the problems we have here presently in our country, Nigeria, how do you think this seminar will really help us ease, or how do you think it will move us forward to the next level?
Yes, this seminar, like I said, will bring out the importance of focusing on agriculture when you have a lot of young people out there, able-bodied young men and women, and then they see if and we have the agricultural land. Land is very fertile. We have arable land that is quite large. So Nigeria will be able to, if properly harnessed, not only feed herself, it will also feed the West African sub-region or even Africa, as the case might be. But the most important thing here is that we reduce our dependence on imports. And two things will happen. One is that it will decrease our foreign exchange outflow, and then also it will improve and harness our agricultural, our income from dollars, dollar inputs. So that will mean foreign direct investments, bringing a lot of money into the country. So the net outflow will be net inflow now, and that will increase the income per capita and then also increase our GDP and bring us out of poverty.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ejike. I think you've thrown more light to this, and we hope our viewers out there will learn a lot from today's seminar. So stay tuned, viewers, and hope for the best. Thank you very much, sir. It's a pleasure having this word with you. All right, then. I'm still here with a very important guest speaker, and we'll be asking him who he is. So come with me as we talk to him. Sir, can we know you?
I'm Dr. Mike Agonana.
Dr. Mike, can you tell us what your presentation today is all about?
I'm an agribusiness and enterprise development consultant. My presentation today is on what we call pro-vitamin A cassava. It's a cassava that is rich in vitamin A, or we call it beta-carotene cassava, or we call it yellow root cassava. The beauty of vitamin A cassava is that when you plant this cassava, Africans, Nigerians, our major meal is cassava based, either in form of gari, fufu, apple, tapioca, and so on. So this pro-vitamin A cassava, when you plant it, you harvest it and process it. As you're taking the carbohydrate, you are equally taking vitamin A. And these things can help reduce what we call vitamin A deficiency. In children, it can lead to stunted growth. In women, pregnant women, it can lead to maternal mortality, abortion, and so on. And the disadvantage of vitamin A deficiency in children is that it leads to stunted growth. And once they are stunted, they cannot regain this lost height and weight again. And Nigeria is about the 36th country in the world that has the highest level of vitamin A deficiency and with highest number of stunted children. And now we are preaching this message of each household planting yellow root cassava at your backyard. So at the end of the day, when you process it, you don't need to get vitamin A, a nutrition supplement. As you are eating your gari, drinking your gari, whatever you are doing with gari, you are equally taking vitamin A. And not only the nutritional aspect of it, it will equally empower the youths. Set up a small farm, micro farm, get your planting material, your stems, you plant it, you make money from the stems, you make money from the roots. Now, a bundle of cassava is sold for 2,500 naira. Just imagine where you have a small farmland, less than a hectare of land, and you produce pro-vitamin A cassava there. The stems alone you make, the cuttings gives you money. You sell the tubers. If you don't want to process it, you sell it in the market just like that. People will buy it and they process. And it's taking our use out of the labor market. Then the value chain of producing until it gets to consumption table, everybody is employed along the value chain and you make your money.
Sir, taking you backward a bit, just for further clarification, can you tell us, you made mention of Nigeria being the 36th country that have this deficiency in pro-vitamin A. Okay, can you tell us how we can tackle this in our country?
The easiest way to tackle it It's not by going to take nutrient supplements. That will cost us much. The vulnerable people, women and children in the villages cannot afford. If I go by UNICEF 2010, over 65% of Nigerians live below $1 per day. And because you live below $1 per day, you can't afford to buy these supplements. You people are into supplements. You know what it takes, the cost. So all we need to do is to throw more light on cassava production, cassava planting, with emphasis on pro-vitamin A cassava. And once that is done, it is harvested and it is processed, and you take it. It will now go and tackle this problem of stunted growth. It will not tackle this problem of diarrhea. It could not tackle this problem of maternal mortality. It could tackle this problem of even night blindness. You know, one of the advantages of vitamin A is for sight. And once you can take this meal, all of us, I'm sure you have taken cassava today or yesterday, and it's part of us. And that's why we are spreading the message.
Thank you very much, sir, for this. And I hope that all Nigerians out there are listening to this and this will really benefit us. So, what's the job? Is there any job employment for any youth who can really venture into this, and how can they start?
You can start by being a producer of cassava, the farmer. You can be a farmer. You can be a processor. We have local processing machines. You process it, you cannot start bagging it into 5 kg, 10 kg, and you sell. You can even, if you don't want to bag it, you put it in your small basin. Go to the market, just say this pro vitamin A cassava gari. All we need to do is to create awareness through the media house, through the television, through people like you, and let the world know what we can afford, what we are doing. And that's why we are here. We are not only here to come and do paperwork, blow grammar, no. This is a workshop where we want to enlighten people.
All right. Thank you very much for giving us this privilege to speak to you. It's a pleasure meeting you. Do have a lovely day, sir. Welcome to today's seminar. So I will start by introducing our first speaker, the president of the IIAS, in person of Professor Frederick Mursu. Please, a round of applause for him. Thank you. And the second presenter is no other person but Okonu. Please, a round of applause for him too. And the third presenter, our guest speaker, a very important dignitary we have here, is no other person but Dr. R.G. H.K. A round of applause, please. And the fourth speaker is no other person other than Dr. Michael U. Akunana. A round of applause, please. Thank you very much for joining us at today's seminar. Those following us via Zoom, thank you very much for having this time with us. So I'll be handing over to Mrs. Dr. Anastasia Ashi to just take over the program. Thank you very much, ma'am. It's a pleasure.
Thank you very much. First, I want to apologize for the late start of the event, and we hope that we'll run everything fast and finish on time.
I'm really super excited to be here today. This is one of those dreams that you were to come to pass. It was very inspiring to hear Dr. Peter Sherrill speak, and when he said, no reason for poverty in Africa, I strongly believe that. There is no reason for poverty in Africa. We should start working on our raw materials to take control what we have so that we can turn it to finished goods. I am going to be speaking about how from snails that we know very well in Africa and in other many parts of the world, how you start from there, you're going to go into many other products. You know, in pharmaceuticals, in cosmetics, and also in the food industry. In a nutshell, the campaign we should be carrying that will help us to support us to use our raw material is like a campaign titled, mining the jewel in snail value chain, which should lead us from going from farm to better health, beauty, and wealth. If you get nothing else from today's presentation from me, let this campaign get into your mind. Mining the jewel in snail value chain will take you from farm to better health, beauty, and wealth. Okay, so my presentation is titled Sustainable Snail Value Chain for Pharmaceutical, Cosmetics, and Food Industries. In a nutshell, SVC for PCF. Slide. I'll just take you through these few topics. I'll define what snail value chain is all about, then go to why do you even want to farm snails, and testimonials and a bit of health benefits. And then we'll go to if I know part of the housing systems that will help you to have a sustainable snail value chain that will lead to the pharmaceuticals, the cosmetics, and the food industry. And then taking you to the higher and next level where the snail value chain businesses are. We're going to go into some recommendations and then some papers, if time permits, about wonderfully special limited the company that I work for, and then I'll conclude and I'll charge. I don't end my presentation without charging my audience wherever I speak in the world. Next slide, please. Okay, in bullet points, snail value chain is you starting from taking some training, like when the media were asking me today, how can they start? I said, first of all, you go through some training and then you can set up your own small snail farm, any type of housing you choose. You can graduate them to integrated snail, vegetable, fruits, and cluster farming. This is where it's going to be sustainable, because if you do snail alone, it's going to be sustainable. But we have the fruits and vegetables and tubers where they thrive on, is going to be sustainable. And then we're going to talk a bit about food formulation that support vegetable and fruits, and then byproducts from the snails, which actually lead to processing and slime extraction plus shell crushing, for also cosmetics and pharmaceuticals. Then packaging of the snail meat and snail extract for food, pharmaceuticals, cosmetics industries. Then leading us to snail therapy center, where you can relax when you're really stressed. And then what I want us to start somewhere in this country, snail affair restaurant. You have Chicken Republic, you have something that has to do with chicken. Why don't you do things with snail, which is the best meat anybody can eat in the world. Personally, I call it natural blood tonic. Because if you lack blood, eat snail, I have full blood count. It's tested and proven. And then other thing is to learn how snail value chain will be taught in school and vocational centers. This is just snail value chain, otherwise known as snailpreneurship, defined in bullet points. But let's go down to the next slide. Let me just pick it. Snail value chain can be defined as all the business activities around primary products and services, okay, which like is snail rearing, and that will lead to subsequent production of finished products and services, which are medicines, cosmetics, etc., for end users that come from the initial project, which are the raw materials. The raw materials include snail meat, include the shell, the serum, the shell, etc. Thereby harnessing the full snail value chain to benefit mankind, for the environment, for our harmonious sustainability. All those are here in the campaign, which I say is titled Mining the Jewel in Snail Value Chain, from farm to better health, beauty, and wealth. Go on, please. Okay, so it would be nice for you to know a bit of the species of snails that are used for this thing that I'm talking about. In Nigeria, we have major 4 species of snails. And the first one is what we call Akakachina marginata. This is the most widely rare in this country. And the second one is Akachina acatina. And the third one is Acatina fulica. This I call snail of the world.
You see it in many parts of the world. You see it in Africa, you see it in Europe, you see it in the Caribbean. And then the smallest one in Nigeria is called Limicollaria. The European one that they've been using to do great exploit is called Helix aspersa. These have been to where they use this snail to do so many things as raw material for cosmetics, raw materials for medicines, and for other things. In fact, as an example, this is one of the cosmetics. There are ranges, a lot of them that we bring into this country. But it will be my joy that instead of bringing finished goods with their own snails, we have a whole lot. Can't we mine our own God-given snails to do our own cosmetics and other things? Let's go to the next slide, please. Okay, so why even go into snail farming? I'll say the reason you should do that is because it's fun, it's really cheap and easy to maintain. Also, animal feed is gotten from the snail shell. Lots of health benefits that lead into turning it natural blood tonic. You can tell a lot of people have testified for this to this in many parts of the world, the way I speak. It's also low capital intensive. Population size increases very fast because they are hermaphrodite basically. Small land space, you don't need hectares of land or acres of land that actually go into big snail farming. Next, please. Other reasons are the shells can be used for ornaments, for scoring powder, ceramics, etc. It's a very good source of high quality protein. It's very environmentally friendly because it doesn't smell, it doesn't make noise. It's very quiet. You can be doing it right at home without your neighbor knowing what you are doing. Okay? And then I tell people, because people are getting aware of what snails can do, so they're going into the forest reserve to pick them. If we don't start rearing snail and producing it, it's going to go extinct. So to avoid extinction, let us embrace snail farming. Okay? And it's a very good source of money, whether in naira, in dollar, in pound, etc. Let's go on. Okay, this is just example. This one. Okay, this snail shell that is used for live plants. This is planted personally by me. Snail shell where you plant okra, and this where it is mature. So there's nothing that is missing from snail itself. Next one. This is always used for decoration. Empty shell like this. You can put sand and plant something. For decoration, you can use to decorate your house or in hotels like this. Let's go on again. Snail shell for stress release. This thing, the day I learned it, I was really amazed. It was in Europe, 13th of September 2019. That when you take 2 empty snail shells and put in your ears, after about 10 to 15 minutes, max 20 minutes, if you are stressed, you'll be released from stress. So, instead of throwing this away, you're back from your stressful work or whatever, get your husband, your wife, your friend, just to put this on your 2 ears, and you'll be amazed the wonders it's going to do for you. This was in Europe, and this in Caribbean, and this here in Africa. I was invited by a country in the Caribbean to come and teach snail value chain, and it was very well appreciated. So I did some there as well. You can see how happy these people are, you know, how they feel. So you can try it yourself. Watch your snail, use it yourself, and you testify. Let's go on. Okay, lots of health benefits of snail. Things that have to do with basic blood formulation. Snail can help it done, and that is why it's called natural blood tonic. These are testimonies from people, like I mentioned names. It's not that Ukono just coined them. When you teach, people tell you what they use snail to do. And when I gather all this together, I said, why don't we come together and use this and develop the industry? It burns in my spirit that, you know, we should look for investors, we should look for philanthropists, we should look for men of goodwill. Let's go into snail value chain for better health, beauty, and wealth. So some of the other health benefits are even things like, you know, stroke, hypertension. Also in traditional medicine, especially in the West, when they cut a baby during circumcision, they use snail water, what we call serum, because of the astringent property. It helps to constrict the pores of where the blood is coming from. This is how God created snail, up till for beauty. You know, things like having smooth skin, etc. is very good from when you use snail slime to do them. Lots of them are there. Let's go down. Let's go more. Now, sustainable, vegetable, fruits, and snail housing. I just want to show this for you to have an idea. If you want to go into a sustainable one, the way you may do it. I'm not teaching snail farming. If I'm teaching snail farming, it's a different ballgame. In fact, I came from a farm where I'm teaching people in Lagos Badagry Processing Center. My students I'm going to go back there to continue teaching in the farm how to raise snail before they now come to the value chain. So let's go. Some of the housing system you can use sustainably are, we call this low fence pen. And when you do your low fence pen, you're going to have some plants around that you can use to feed your snails. And in that case, you can never get it wrong. You can see some moringa trees, some pawpaw and other things around that you can harvest and feed them. Remember, the way whatever you input in them will help you get the best quality slime, which you're going to use as your raw materials for your cosmetics and your pharmaceutical industry. Next one. Okay, this is a cluster. If anybody, government also want to empower youth, you can get these clusters, get them to work in there. Each of them can own this. And when the snail gets mature, you can get it, put it in the slime extraction machine. With the slime extraction machine, slime extracted, it can be used for pharmaceuticals, for cosmetics, and other things. This is what we call paddock system or greenhouse. This is where you can build and plant what the snail feeds on in there. All these are for sustainability. Not just that I'm doing something on the side, going to get feed and feed the snail. But they'll be there, they are much healthier, they taste better. Go down. Next. This is how it looks like in Europe. This is how the own snail farm is. You can see they plant their feed in there, and when it's mature, they just harvest, extract the slime, package the snail meat, do whatever they want with the extract, and we will go and buy. I'm campaigning that we should locally here do our own. While this is their own, this is one of the biggest size. Look at our own, one of the medium size of our own. What are we waiting for? There should be no poverty in Africa. Let's look into what we have used. And I wanted to use this note to invite the world to come and join us in the campaign of mining the jewel in snail value chain and taking us from farm to better health, beauty, and wealth. If you just go to the class, let me do my charge and now go down. They'll go just one slide up. This is a guy who invented the snail slime extraction machine. His name is Simone Sampo. It took 9 years before they got it right. And I'm proud that they were able to wait this long. Go down. Go down. Okay. I wanted to thank snail value chain for these reasons. For job creation, poverty alleviation, citizens empowerment, and Niger economy diversification, as well as all of Africa. It's natural blood tonic for everyone, for healthy beauty, for fetuses and babies, and then very beautiful and glowing skin, especially for ladies and also men as well. Ever alert in your thoughts, it is called serenity. If you eat snail very well, you can hardly forget anything. So if you start now that you're young eating snail, you never forget anything as you grow old. Then for fun, and this is another reason why you should do snail. Go down so I can round up. Go. Yeah? Okay. My prayers will be that we collaborate and partner with Wonderfully Special Limited for snail value chain project execution. We source for fund, just like Dr. Peter said that, look, let us work with the banks and get money. There's a good business plan that can help us, even as far as going to have snail slime bank in Nigeria or some other parts of Africa. Also, let's have massive snail value chain training for people to be aware. And I believe that Nigeria as a country has comparative advantage when it comes to snail value chain using vegetable, fruits, and snail farming. One last one, go down. Okay, like I said, and the other prayer is I'm inviting the world to join us in mining the jewel in snail value chain, thereby moving from farm to better health, beauty, and wealth. You can see the program. This is how you can empower citizens with the feed, with the mobile pen, with the snail itself, etc. Go down. Okay? Down. I just want to talk a bit about what, forget it, you can ask me who I am later on. I call myself Ukono, but I've done quite a whole lot I've gone to school all the way. I just want to keep those down. Go. This is one of our demonstration men. Go ahead. Go ahead, is our company. Some of the awards we won. Go. Some of the things you can know this guy. This like in a conference here in Nigeria by top people, ministers, and head of banks. Go. Some of our customers and partners go down. Okay, this is like an European Agriculture Conference. Nigeria will be happening in June this year, so I invite you if you're interested. Go down. Okay, go. All these are. This is in the Caribbean where I went to do my evangelism on snail value chain. Go. In the Caribbean as well. Go. Okay. This is normally my last slide. Most of the places that I go to. Please just give me 1 minute or so. I liken snail value chain to David and Goliath. For some of us that come from the Christian faith. When David was asked to fight Goliath, people were looking at it, it's too much for you. But he looked at Goliath as being too big a target that he will hit. He will get when he hit. So with that spirit and feeling that God is behind him, David went ahead and hit and he got Goliath. Look at snail value chain. If you go into snail value chain, you can farm snails, you can bottle snail, you can extract the slime, you can go into cosmetics, into pharmaceuticals, you can crush the shell and everything. There is no part of snail value chain that will not get something. So that's why I liken it to David and Goliath. You can ask me deeper on that. It's spiritual. Then Paul literally means passing over opportunities repeatedly. You've come here today, you've heard about this, like Herbasu said, Ibike, this snail, take it very seriously, I'm telling you. Diversifying your income, even if you have a lot of money, diversify. For those of us from the Christian faith, go to the Bible, Ecclesiastes chapter 11 from 1 to verse 6. Cast your net upon the waters and see what happens after many years. That's diversification. And it goes down to the end and says, even the baby in the womb, you don't know how God formed the bones. So don't wait for the perfect time before you start. I charge you to read that verse in the Bible. And then the last two ones, what do you presently have? God will let you have something to empower you. You've heard my voice today. You've learned a few things from other people. When God called Elisha and the widow, you know what happened with the little oil? 2 Kings 4:2. When also Lord called Moses, he had the rod. All these things were used. You must have something. And then lastly, I want you to be strong and of good courage. As we know that our God is forever with us, wherever we may go, and in whatever genuine business we may choose to do, if we involve him and trust in him, we surely arise and shine. Thank you so very much.
Chairman and LOC Chairman, Association for the Advancement of Family Planning, and Technical Committee Chairman to come and give us his talk. Thank you.
Recording in progress.
Good morning, colleagues. In these few slides, I'm going to walk you through why Nigeria is at the crossroads, I will call it, and then also there lie tremendous opportunities based on what our interests are today. Having listened to the two previous speakers, the first thing I got from Dr. Peter, the importance of value chain in agricultural production. People do not know that 70% of the value is not even in the primary products, in the value chain. Peter said it, and then Okon Squared, I call him, also said the same. But I'm going to, first of all, lay the foundation of why we are here in terms of our population, the dynamics, and then also speak to the issue that if we do the right things, we are in a population crisis, we can go through transition and then to dividend. And those are some of the things that I'm hearing already today. So let's go to the next slide. Let's do a quick situational analysis of Nigeria. This is our population dynamics. In 1960, when we got our independence, our population was 45.2 million. Now, it's 221 million and we are counting, with a population growth rate of 3.2%. Now, I want you to look at our income per capita then. It was $1,746. All right? And our unemployment rate at that time was 2%. Let's go to the next slide. This is the British population dynamics. Remember, Britain colonized us. Each time people do comparisons, they don't want to compare to, Britain is too big, they colonized, they don't want to compare. But let us look at their own population dynamics at 1960. It was 52.12. They were actually almost 10 million more than us as at that time. In 2020, there are only 67.3 million. They were more than us in 1960, but you can see how tremendous increase that we have had in the past how many years. Now look at their population growth rate. It's 0.58%, while ours is 3.2%. But something that you must note, look at their income per capita. Look at their income per capita. As at that time, it was $1,396. Can you go back to the last slide? You could see that the income per capita for Nigeria was even higher as at that time than that of England. 1,746 for Nigeria, go to the next slide, as opposed to $1,396 for England. Then look at their unemployment rate. It was 1.7% then, but it's only 4.1% compared to our 20-something% as we speak. Let's go to the next slide. Now these are just those figures. You can see it in a pictorial form. You could see the trajectory of our population compared to that of England. Next slide. Now this is the population growth rate. You see that of Nigeria, how it's gone, and see that of England. Let's go to the next slide. Income per capita. You see where we were, and then see where we are now, and see where we are. Next slide. Now, let us look at why are we in where we are. The fertility rates in Nigeria, as of 1994, the world met and said the population of the world was galloping, and if we do not do anything, we'll be eating each other in a few years' time. As at that time, the population of the world in terms of fertility rate was about 5.5. And then the world said in 25 years' time, which was 2019, the population of the world should come down, or the fertility rate should be brought down to 2.5. Now look at what the world has done. By 2019, which was 25 years later, the world had reduced globally fertility rate from 5.5 to 2.5. But where are we? In Nigeria, we are still at 5.5. All right? Now look at our CPR, that is money methods. It's at 12%. It was 10% for almost 10 years. The needle didn't shift much. And we promised the world in London Summit of 2012 that we shall get our CPR from what it was to 27%. But we're still at 12%. Next slide. Now, what is the result of all of this? We have a high rate of youth dependency. 70% of our population is under the age of 30. 45% of them under the age of 15. Only 3.5% of our population is above the age of 65. So you can see a high dependency ratio. Our fertility rate is still 5.5, while in the world is 2.5. And there are very great regional disparities in Nigeria. It can range from 4.2 in the south to 7.1 in the north. Now we are the poverty capital of the world, and we rank 187 out of 189 countries in terms of health. Next slide. Now let's look at the dependency ratio now again. You see the dependency ratio overall for Nigeria as we speak is 86.8.
If you add the youth, the elderly, it's 93.1. What does this tell you? It's telling you that just about 13% of Nigerians are producing what 87% of Nigerians are actually eating or consuming. We are depending on only about 13%. When you add the elderly who are supposed to be relaxing now and we're supporting them, it goes up to 93%. So less than 10% of the country is productive. So we have a lot of young people who do not have jobs and who are also out there looking for what to do. Now let's look at now, 2020, 78.9 and 87.5. We have not done much. Let's go to the next slide. Now, result of all of this is a high youthful bulge, 70% I told you, high level of immigration, both skilled and unskilled labor. To tell you that this is true, in 2006, I was invited by the Norwegian government to be part of the African leaders in reproductive and health arena to help them craft out a policy for Africa. When I sat down with the International Development Minister, the first question he put to me is, Dr. Ochi, how come every single day 13 commercial sex workers come into their country from Nigeria? 13, 1-3. Commercial sex workers, what is skilled in having sex? 13, every single day. The International Office of Migration at some point said that 14% of all Africans who cross from the African continent across the tempestuous sea of the Mediterranean, 13% or 14% of them are Nigerians. That means for every 100 Africans, 14 are Nigerians. If you had any doubt, when this present administration came into power in the first session of this administration, the Buhari government brought back 20,000 Nigerians from Libya, flew them back. These were people trapped in Libya that couldn't cross over to the European coast. And just about 4 years ago, 44 migrants were killed in the migrant attack in Libya. 9 of them were Nigerians. So you can see the exodus of our young. These are unskilled. When you talk about skilled labor, depending on the context you look at it, they bring back a lot of diasporan economy. In fact, the diasporan economy is almost as big as our national reserve as we speak, about $29 billion every year. But that's a tip of the iceberg. If you look at it in proper context, if you look at the value, those Nigerians that are bringing out $29 billion, the value they put in their host countries as we speak is almost $1 trillion. So you can see in context, it's not really a good thing. As we speak, Nigerian doctors, professionals are leaving the countries in our country in groups because this population pressure. Now, the last one you see in the country, you know that the country has actually graduated to a demographic crisis, is when nationals start doing what? Killing nationals. Every day you hear about people being killed. This didn't start today. It started years ago. You can see from 1960 how we allowed our population to keep growing as well. The Europeans have come to use it as we speak. You can imagine that the unemployment of course will lead to youth restiveness. The young people want to aspire for greater heights. They want food, they want love, they want sex. Nigeria has one of the highest rate of sexual violence as we speak. I trained for British Council. If I tell you what's going on around the country, I trained in 19 states. You'll be so shocked at the amount of rape going on in our country. The only ones we hear about most of it when people get killed. The sexual violence against women is also on the increase. We have very high maternal mortality and infant mortality. Nigeria has one of the highest under 5 mortality rates in the world as we speak. So these are all things coming from population that are just galloping and galloping. Let's go to the next slide. This is the Nigerian population pyramid. You can see at the base here is where you have 70% of our population. You can see the tiny percentage that is actually supporting
country. Let's go to the next slide of Britain. You can see the population growth of Britain. You can see the percentage that is supporting the country is far more than the dependent population. And that's where British or Britain's income per capita as we speak is about $44,000 compared to about $2,600 and something dollars. Let's go to the next slide. This is the unemployment rate of UK and Nigerian friends. One, we must make a philosophical decision as a country. Do we really want to be with each other? That's the number one question. Do we look at ourselves as Nigerians, or do I want to look at myself as I'm an Igbo man, or I'm a Hausa man, I'm a Fulani, Yoruba, Angas, Chief, Biron, Igala? What do we, if you touch any American anywhere in the world, he will not tell you I am from Philadelphia. He will tell you what? I am an American. No place anywhere in the world you will ask anyone, who are you? He will first tell you I'm an American. If you ask him, where are you from? He says, I live in so place. Because they can be born in Delaware, and they settle in New York, and they adopt New York as their own place of origin. So there are two deliberate decisions we need to make. One, are we going to call ourselves Nigerians? Then the second is that we now have to make the deliberate and generational decision to turn our crisis to dividend. Next slide. Now, issue one. We must start a national civility program. We do not treat each other nicely anymore as a country. This is not the country I was born into. This is not the country I grew up in. When we were kids, you could go into a train in Kano, and that train will take you to Port Harcourt. If you have any problem, somebody will say, who are you? Where are you going to? Somebody will just adopt you as a son. You can't try that now. If you even put somebody in a train there, before the person goes to Kaduna, somebody might adopt him and take him for a ritual or kidnap him for ransom. So we must start that deliberate program of civility to bring the best ethos Nigeria used to have to the fore. And that training should start from the kindergarten to the university level. And that should also be enforced. Civility is the key. Next slide. The next one, to reverse the horrible trend, there are 5 deliberate steps. Number 1 is fertility reduction. Call it any name, family planning, bed spacing. You will just need to reduce the rate of production. People point at China and point at India. 50 years ago, India and China were actually poorer than Nigerians. As a young person, when I was in secondary school, most of our teachers were Indians. You won't see any Indian anymore now in Nigeria teaching in the public school, because their economy is a lot better. And what did they do? They legislated on fertility rates. If you are a couple in India, you have only 2 children. If you are a couple in China, you have only 1 child. After they did that, the second thing they did massive investment in their formal and non-formal education, which is part of what we are trying today in terms of our non-formal education. The third one is massive investment in the infrastructure of human capital development, both in the health sector and any other sector. And then policies that will introduce ease of doing business in the country to create a massive employment opportunity in the country for our youngsters. As we speak, I'm building a 5 million women database. I'm just identifying Okono Square. I'm going to partner with him. By the time 5 million women start doing small farming and get all the value chain, haven't you brought them out of poverty? So give him a good round of applause. We have to do massive investment in both infrastructure and policies that will introduce ease of doing business in the country to create a massive opportunity in the country for young people. What is the ease of doing business? Ease of doing business, if you want to start a business, let government not overtask people. At some point, I was the chairman of the Board of Directors here in Abuja. I found out there were 14 taxes in 2013. There were 14 taxes doctors pay, private healthcare doctors pay differently to different organizations. How can they survive as a business? Policies to also make sure there is equity, fairness, justice, and sense of security in the country. Next slide. So we talked about, go next slide. Go next slide. Good. Now, this is the one that I want to speak to very strongly. Our investment in education should be more strategic to focus on not only on university level education, but on trade schools to teach different skills. Not all young people would like to go to school. All right? We should make loans available to students to even go to school like they do in other countries. And our scholarship system must be revamped to focus on brilliant and intelligent students so that they'll be able to have skills. The private sector should be encouraged and also well regulated. Now I think I've talked about. Go to the next slide. Good. Now I'm drilling down to why we are all here. The agricultural sector actually has the biggest opportunity to transform Nigeria. When you have able young men and women, and they can use their talents and use their strengths and their skills, that's a sector that has limitless opportunity. Even though I'm an apostle of that, coming today, I've already seen a big opportunity. They say, stage. But you can see the value chain that is worth billions. Worth billions. That's what we should be focusing on. I led a team of consultants in the National Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies 2 years ago, because the president had directed them that they should focus on population growth challenges and human capital development. So the president was aware that Nigeria is in trouble. And this is the first time a sitting president actually took that bold step. All presidents shied away from issues of population. This is the first president that said, let's talk about population. We're not doing very well. And NIPS brought out 14 recommendations. He accepted all of them in total, including what speaks to what we are talking about today. This is recommendation 1. The first recommendation is the federal government should liaise with state governments to earmark farmlands for modern farm settlements, equip the appropriate infrastructure to engage the youth population. Can you give it a graph for Nigeria? This is our president. He accepted this recommendation. The second is to implement all the strategies. In the states, ministries of agriculture to identify and propose arable lands, about 20,000 hectares for farm settlements in each local government for the approval for the various state executive councils by second quarter of last year. Next slide. The various states to approve the proposal and mandate their ministries of agriculture and was to develop a comprehensive plan by third quarter of last year. The ministries of agriculture have to work and implement their approved plan by first quarter of this year. You guys in the agricultural sector, tell me whether that is happening. All right? State ministries of agriculture also to arrange off-takers of the farm produce on forward arrangements by second quarter, because the farmers won't farm if they don't have an off-taker, because the farm produce will go to waste. State ministry of agriculture to negotiate warehouse arrangements with the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Natural Resources. Next slide. State ministries of agriculture leverage on the efforts to organize cooperatives in order to access agriculture MSME funds from the central bank at single-digit interest rate by second quarter of 2022. And the state government to prioritize the cultivation of crops where they have where they have what comparative advantage through mechanized farming. What Okono has told us today is a comparative advantage in snail farming and value chain, isn't it? So you could see, for me, I look at governance or everything about this thing in terms of 4 or 5 levels. One is leadership. Has the leader taken the lead? Has the government taken leadership on these issues? What is the answer here? By bringing out this policy. They have not taken a lead in policy? The answer is yes. The second is governance structures to implement. You remember that all of these said what? Ministries of Agriculture in the states. Ministries of Agriculture in the states. So the problem here is actually at the sub-national level. The government has said this is what you should do, we'll support you. So it is enough for the governments of the states and local governments to buy into it. Next slide. Now, the other one is that after everybody has now started, the farm, the slave farming has started, what do? You don't use studies to kill them. You do what? Put an enabling environment that will make sure that people have access to financing, there is an improvement in power and infrastructure, create opportunities for people to be hired or create opportunities for them to do their own business. So what will happen also? Remember the commodity boards. Some of you that are above the age of 50 here will know that Nigeria was so strong with the commodity boards. That's why we had granite pyramids. That's why we had palm oil, cocoa. We used to be the #1 exporter of cocoa. Now Ivory Coast has taken over. Dr. Peter talked about value chain. Ivory Coast supplies 70% of Nestle's needs in production of chocolate. The Ivory Coast total national sovereign wealth is about $2 billion a year. But the company, they supply 70% of their inputs. The total asset value of Nestle is about $10 billion. You can imagine that one organization has more wealth than all the world. In fact, almost 7 times more wealth than the organization. You can see that the value chain is where the money is. Next slide. The ground norm to end is a deliberate policy that will do what? Guarantee access to every Nigerian. Equity, fairness, justice, and security. With all of this, we will unleash the greatest growth in our country of all times. Remember though, all of these things I have said is a generation of 20 years. It's not a knee-jerk approach. What it means, when this government goes, there should be a national plan that is devoid of politics, that should roll for the next 20 years. We'll go from demographic crisis to demographic transition to what? Demographic dividend and prosperity. Next slide. Party words. I always use these words. I used to be the chair of the medical subcommittee of COVID-19 response. And people were wondering, why is it that Nigerians are not dying, Africans are not dying like the Europeans? The reason is simple. It was so terrible that Nigeria, the only people who are going to be dying are just about 3.5% of our population. The young migrant immunity, that is over 80% of the population. Again, COVID, no get COVID, no concern. Abi? And now people are saying, why is it that Britain is saying everybody should not use masks? Don't listen to Britain. The reason is that they have herd immunity. They have attained more than 70% vaccination. Ours is just about 10%. If you look at per capita, who have died, per capita, Nigerians have died more than Britain in terms of that age bracket of 3.5%. So, but this is a part of work. So, I think the next slide will be saying thank you so much, and I wish you
Standing right here with me is a very beautiful young lady, and she happens to be one of the major organizers. So, young lady, can we know you?
Thank you so very much. My name is Agatha Odo, Inspector Agatha Odo. I'm an environmental health officer and I am a member International African International Institute for African Scholars. Sorry, um, yes, and I'm also the secretary to the president of International Institute for African Scholars. So thank you.
That's beautiful. Inspector Agatha, can you tell us what it really took you to put out all of these? Having to know that you are the organizer of all of these. Like, what was the inspiration behind this?
Okay, just to correct something, the IIAS is the organizer of this event. I am just a vessel because I am in Abuja. Okay, so the institute is the headquarters is in Raleigh, United States of America. Yes, but the workshop is for Nigeria, Abuja in Nigeria. So I am here, and of course I'm on ground, I'm a member, and I have to work. And what propelled me to be part of this planning is it's just based on the fact that as a young person, seeing how the country is, seeing how Africa is growing, I have that zeal that we should come together. Youth should always come together and, put in their own quota to see that the gap is being bridged between African, the way African is being perceived and the way other diasporas are being perceived. So this is the reason why I decided to be fully involved in it. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So, a very important question that we need to take down. What have you really gained since you've been working or since you've been a member? What have you really gained from IIAS as a member now?
I cannot start counting.
It's so numerical that.
Exactly. So I'm encouraging everyone, the cameraman, yourself, the presenter, huh? Yes, to be part of the IIAS. Okay, one of the things I benefited being a member of the IIAS is connectivity, like having to connect with every other members from different parts of the world. Okay, from different part of the yeah, different part of the world, countries and states like that. So yes, and then you get to learn, you get to improve. There's actually a book. IIAS has a book project coming up, and I have been opportune to write my own story there. So you guys should watch out for this space. IIS is well loaded, it's packed. There is a book club, there are so many. There's a project department, there's the African Health Organization, there's human rights platform for the IIS. So it's fully loaded. Every aspect of human existence, the IIAS has it, and they are exposing me in particular to so many things. So I think every youth listening and watching out there should be part of the IIAS. Thank you.
And I'm a strong fan of the IIAS. Before you know it, I am going to be a member as soon as possible. So it's a pleasure having to spend time with you. Thank you for this word of knowledge because this is what I will call it. And it's a pleasure. Do have a lovely day.
Next 30 minutes. And coming after that, we'll hear from Baba and Nafati, who's going to talk to us about farming practices and food security in Nigeria. So, can we just all give him a round of applause as he comes to the stage? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stacey. My name is Dr. Mike Akonama. I am a senior lecturer in the Department of Agriculture Technology and a consultant in agribusiness and partnership development. I will be talking on pro-vitamin A cassava, processing produce into products, or transforming the produce into products. I'm sure some of us here will be asking the question, what is pro-vitamin A cassava? You might not have heard of it, but you have heard of ordinary cassava. You see, this is a country that has always suffered malnutrition. Not only suffering malnutrition, they are suffering what we call micronutrient deficiency. Among the micronutrient deficiency they suffer from is what we call vitamin A deficiency. And this vitamin A deficiency has a lot of medical implications on pregnant women, children, and even adults. It might surprise you that Nigeria is rated 32nd country out of 36 countries that have stunted children. And the most difficult or the dangerous aspect of stuntedness is once a child is stunted, he can never regain the growth again. No, I'm sure you are here.
First 1,000 days. After that, it's chaff.
It's chaff.
Nothing can actually do. First 1,000 days of the life of the child. If you don't give her the great nutrition, they regret content for life.
Yeah. So you are hearing it from the medical doctors. I'm talking from the point of pro-vitamin A cassava, what it can do. And not only that, it's making the child stunted. Cognitive development is impaired. As you take it in form of tapioca, whatever means you are taking your cassava, you are taking vitamin A. Our parents in their traditional knowledge used to add red oil when they are frying garri. Have you asked yourself question, why is red oil included in frying garri? They are just adding that red oil so that vitamin A can be caught as you are taking the garri. And the problem with this adding this red oil, it will go acidity. After some time, the garri will spoil. But with this pro-vitamin A cassava, it's yellow in nature. And when you process it into whatever, whether flour or whatever, you are taking cassava. You are taking vitamin A, you are taking carbohydrate. And for the diabetic, it is a little bit low in carbohydrates. And that is why the elites take it a lot. That's just an overview of what I'm trying to look at. So let's look at it. This is like the two major issues that worry policymakers are hunger and malnutrition. Nigeria, of course, we are under what we call food insecurity. Over 65% of this country are food insecure. We cannot afford what we eat. We cannot decide this is what we want to eat. And because of that, it's a very big problem. And once you are food insecure, it means you cannot even think well, you cannot act well, you cannot do well. And we are talking about food security. And food security is talking about what is food security? Affordability, accessibility, availability of nutritious food. When you take it, it doesn't add, doesn't give you any injury, no disease, and so on. And another major problem we have is malnutrition, which I have told you. Because of these micronutrient deficiencies, we have the health hazards where we talk of stuntedness, we talk of diarrhea, we talk of maternal mortality, we talk of problem of lactation among children, we talk of night blindness, and if not be taken care of, people will begin to go blind. Next slide, please. Annually, because of we lack vitamin A in what we take, the country is spending over 1.5 billion in our GDP, losing it due to vitamin and mineral deficiencies. The next slide, please. And what are the reasons why we are losing this amount of money? One, many staple foods are low in essential micronutrients. And once it is low in essential micronutrients, then you now begin to talk of fortification, nutritional supplement, which is now in vogue. Everybody is marketing nutritional supplement because what we are eating cannot provide the essential ingredients, nutrients in our body. And that's why we are talking about nutritional supplement. poor awareness to dietary requirements. A lot of us don't even know how to combine. You can take your vegetables, you can take your beans, you can add crayfish, and you're getting something better for your children. We don't know about that one. We only expect when you buy egg, when you buy meat. No, there's a lot of nutrients in water leaf. There's a lot of nutrients in the ugu and other leaves. Churn it out, put okra, mix it with crayfish, and it's better for you. If you look at feeding practices, which are at times you take your curry in the morning, or your bread in the morning, your rice in the afternoon, your curry in the night, we are still talking about carbohydrate waste to power trend and high level of poverty. High level of poverty. UNICEF 2010 said over 64% of Nigerians live below $1.25 per day, and which is international accepted standard. Once you go below it, you are a poor person. I'm sure we are even getting poorer and poorer. And whatever we take as our salary or whatever we make cannot take us home. As a little child growing up, I had a father who had only primary 6 education. He worked with the then P&T. But I discovered as a little boy, if I'm drinking garri, I will empty one tin of milk inside the garri. If they give me soup, I'll open geisha and pour inside. If they give me food, I'll take Maggi sauce. I don't know if you have ever seen Maggi sauce, the liquid type. You drop inside. At primary 6, graduate, taking care of 10 of us. We enjoy it. Now I have a PhD, I'm a lecturer. I can't even put tin of milk inside my garri. So you can see the level of poverty. The thing is galloping. For some of us who go spiritual, I'm able to begin to think that poverty is not naked and is chasing all of us. Next slide, please. So what do? We have to scale up called micronutrient intervention through nutritional supplementation, diversification of diets, and biofortification. And that is where I'm going to. Next slide. If you look at this, they say cassava in Nigeria. Nigeria is the highest producer of cassava in the world. As of 2018 FAO record, we had over 59 point something, above 59 metric tons per annum. And the disadvantage of this thing we are producing is it doesn't have major micronutrients. And since it's a choice food among more than 500 million people around the world and serves over 200 million people in Africa, unfortunately, this conventional white flesh cassava, the one you know, which our forefathers know, is not rich in micronutrients, especially provitamin A. Because of that, we are having our serious problem, diabetes, stunted-ness, and so on. Next slide. And IITA, National Institute Research Institute, Center for Tropical Agriculture, under the funding of Harvest Plus, now did the research and came up with what we call pro-vitamin A cassava. They did the same research for maize in different parts of the African country. They did it for potato, orange flesh potatoes, and so on. And what is biofortification? Biofortification is a situation where you deliberately increase the content of an essential micronutrient, vitamin, mineral, including trace elements, next slide please, in the food to improve the nutritional quality of the food supply, provide a public health benefit with minimal risk, and through agronomic practices, conventional plant breeding, or modern biotechnology. And the beauty of biofortification or biofortified program is a one-stop investment. Once you produce a biofortified pro-vitamin A cassava, you don't need to invest in it again. You have the stem. And once you have the stem, and the stem is distributed, you plant it, you harvest it, you process it, you are taking carbohydrate rich in vitamin A. One-stop investment. And 2011, when Dr. Bill Madison was Minister for Agriculture, he went to National Agricultural Research Institute and launched it. And ever since then, the awareness has been created. Researchers like Ilona, Ekesi, Opadinde, and so on, they started work on it, on adoption, nutritional aspect of it, and awareness. But the problem with the black man, those of us who are into agriculture, there are a group of people who call laggards, never adopters, and there are a group of people who call late adopters. No matter how you tell them, they will tell you the way it is with our great grandfather, that is the way it should be. God, you can tell me weakness. And because of that, accepting innovation becomes very difficult. And because we don't accept innovation, this program in cassava that the Harvest Plus funded with several billions of dollars, the awareness is going down. And some of us now felt that what do we do? What do we give back? We now say, okay, let us come back and see how we can sensitize the youth through the value chain. Dr. Okoro said, a medical doctor, I saw him talking of farm settlement scheme. I was shocked. This was the same thing Dr. Nandazikwe, Dr. Michael Lopara, I won't know them. They went back. And there was no unemployment. We were able to feed ourselves. Today we are in the farm settlement scheme. They have all gone. When Mbappe was the governor of Onimo State, we had our poultry farm. Our poultry farm was feeding the whole of Nigeria with chicken. Today, where's our poultry farm? Bush has overtaken it. And our youth are roaming the streets. But we are talking of value chain. If our poultry farm is working, people work there, you process them. Those who are interested in the shop, they pack it differently. Kidney, everything is separated. And they market it. There are people who like head of farming, some like the less. So all these things are valued, and the prices are different. So once we are able to do these things, we move forward. Produce American cassava addresses micronutrient deficiency, which I've said. They target low-income households, like I told you before. Over 64% of Nigerians are poor, and if they can afford to plant both vitamin cassava rich in vitamin A, at least micronutrient deficiency will be taken care of, and it provides a better means of improving nutrition. The next slide. Presently, it is better that over 1 million Nigerians households are growing yellow cassava varieties, which contain significant amount of protein and vitamin, even after processing. That is the beauty of it. So people have done research on retention of vitamin A after processing cassava, after frying it, and it was discovered that it is still being retained. Next slide. The new variety of vitamin A cassava has been produced. We have Umudike cassava 44. That's what you see there called mochas. Umudike cassava 45, Umudike cassava 46, and we have the one we call Umudike cassava 36. That one is presently the one that people are still cropping. But these are the new varieties. And why are they on board? Because they have a product that have 10 parts per million based on fresh food, have increased biocarotene levels, have a high level of agronomic better adoption, improve cassava product. And the beauty of this thing we are looking at now is that this new vitamin A cassava variety that is on board has a very high level dry matter content. It is hardy. It is drought resistant. When rain is falling, when rain is not falling, it can grow. And these are some of the advantages. And because this is one of the advantages, we will continue to preach this message. Sometimes they go lucky to be standing. So he said he has gone all over the world trying to look for a woman that will understand him. Now that he has found one, he's not going to let that one go. Now that I know the importance of raw vitamin A cassava, any place I have opportunity, I will preach it. So that we can take our youth out of the road, take them out of the streets, so that there will be a value chain that connects the youth. So if you do that, like you see here, they said a crop that allows you to make starch, high quality cassava flour, dry cheese for export, livestock food and ethanol is an important crop. And this is what we work. Processing produce into products. A well-known economist, Professor Felix Weke, wrote a book titled Cassava, Africa's Best Health Secret. He clearly showed that cassava is no longer a sustained crop, but a commercial crop. A crop that allows you to make starch, high-quality cassava flour, dry chips for export, livestock feed and ethanol is not a poor man's crop, but a rich man's crop. The interest in cassava is because it's a choice food among Nigerians and it's important to people's livelihood. We with comparative advantage for cultivation and other crops. Paul Ilona of Harvest Plus once said that, given the importance of cassava in Nigeria, whole vitamin A cassava can provide more vitamin A in the diets of over 70 million Nigerians and continue to reduce vitamin A deficiency, which is widespread in the country. Very important. Next slide. What is our focus? Creating new markets for cassava produce and products through production. If we have gone into cultivation of vitamin A cassava and we have gotten the produce, all we need to do is to begin to process it. At the local level, at the traditional level, you can get your garri that is rich in vitamin A cassava. I supply this garri, but the thing we do is that we supply it based on demand. We process it, bag it, 5 kg, 10 kg, on demand, we give it to you. We have the cassava flour too, which we do. We have the chips, which we do. And this local abacha, tapioca, and so on, if you use vitamin A cassava to prepare them, you are not only taking carbohydrate, you are equally taking vitamin A. You can Google, check vitamin A cassava, what it does to the body, and you find out what I'm saying here, whether I'm just lying or deceiving you or just trying to showcase myself. So we are now looking at next slide. I want to drive the audience again to look at one. I like it so much. It's a high quality vitamin A cassava flour to be used in replacing some of the wheat flour being imported to produce bread. Presently, we have cassava bread sold in our supermarkets. Those of you who live in Abuja, mega city, I don't know if you have seen it. It is there. Go to the supermarket and ask for it. Former President Dr. Bele Jonathan once said that we must eat what we produce and produce what we eat. We must eat what we produce and we produce what we eat. And if we produce a lot of vitamin A cassava, rich cassava flour, the country can be saving over 250 billion naira annually used in the production of wheat, addition of 2011. With the development of vitamin A cassava, the nutritional quality of cassava bread in Nigeria will substantially improve. So while you eat cassava bread, you will get more vitamins, reduce child malnutrition, reduce blindness, enhance the cognitive skill of your children, and reduce infant mortality. So as you choose vitamin A cassava bread, you are choosing improved health and nutrition. Thus, effort should be geared towards including vitamin A cassava in processing high quality cassava flour. So I took time to read it so that the message can flow. What do we do? All we need to do is, the cassava stems are there. Your backyard, you can cultivate them. Even if you are not into industrial processing of it, you use it for tapioca, you use it for making your small garri or your fufu. When you are eating it, you are taking two things: carbohydrate that is less and vitamin A. And take the slide again. And you can produce equally fructose cassava straw, cassava cake, dry cassava chips, cassava starch, ethanol. And you know that just like palm tree, virtually everything in palm tree, there's no waste. Those of us who know about palm tree, when you harvest it, the oil comes out of there, the okra, the chaff, the everything you talk of. Sorry about you, man. So once in a while, I blow. I'm not ashamed to say that. So the palm kernel, everything, just like cassava, even the bark, as you remove the bark from it, there are industries in some African countries that have converted into animal feed. Yes. Thank God, okay, I see that. So, and if we can use the cassava bark that we have removed and convert it to Africa to animal feed, then cassava vitamin A cassava becomes a game changer. And then if the industry can do that, then it's the money. Next slide, please. So we don't look at the value chain. Everybody will be involved. The planters, the cultivator, the transporter, the processor, the equipment, the marketers, everybody, and the middlemen, everybody will be carried along. The important thing is that our youth will be taken out of the street. At times I ask myself a question, where are we heading to? This country is in a time bomb. We have one of the highest youth unemployment. And every day we are turning them out. We are turning them out. We are turning them out. When I went to school, I was looking to go to the same school with the rich men's children. There was no private university. There was no private secondary school. There was no private nursery school. It's either we meet at the primary school, or we meet at government college, or federal government college, or community secondary school, or we meet at the state university, or federal university. But presently, there's no meeting point between the rich and the poor. Primary, private nursery, private secondary, private university, private everything, Egypt, Ghana, Dubai, everywhere. And that is why the country can be on strike for the past 2 months and nobody is talking about it. But those days, all of us meet, we cross carpet, we live in Tamari. One of my friends was so bold, he made the daughter of a very wealthy man. The girl accepted, the girl said, come to my house. He followed the girl to the house. After introducing himself, the father of the girl looked at the young man and said, you are a very ambitious young man, but go and match your ambition with your status. So the guy, he came back and started struggling. But at least the beauty of it was that he was able to meet a daughter of a rich man in the university. But today, some of you might not be pleased to meet them again because they are separated. Next slide, please. In conclusion, President Cassava is a game changer. All we need to do is to scale up demand through awareness creation, improve qualification, and at the end of the day, we might be in a better position to enjoy these things. I'm not talking of what is on paper. I'm talking of what I know. We partner with National Crop Research Institute. They have the planting materials. IIT Ibadan have the planting materials. All you need to do, if you don't know how to get it, you can get in touch with me. I will make it available. If you don't know how to plant it, I have my team. We not only deal on vitamin A cassava, we only deal on Abakaliki rice. I don't even heard of Abakaliki rice. It's not here in Abuja. It is more nutritious than the foreign rice. If you want it, we'll send it to you wherever you are, so you can enjoy it. Set up a small place for yourself where you sell your Abakaliki rice. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abuja, for that wonderful presentation.
The depot in here is called Cross River. It's named after a state. And then we have 3 rivers that flow from the Kukuruku Hills around this place into the Atlantic Ocean. That is River Ogun, Oshun, and Odo rivers. So Nigeria is blessed beyond your wildest imagination. Another thing that we have to look at is the climate of this country. Nigeria lies between latitude 4 degrees north and 14 degrees north. It is a tropical country. Any land that lies between the equator and 23.5 degrees north or south of the equator is considered a tropical region. So Nigeria is has a torrid climate and is a hot region of the world. Now, if we look at, and then another important thing that I want to say is that we have 2 seasons, wet season and dry season. And there is no part of Nigeria that will stay for 2 or 3 months without rain. Like, take for example, this area and that area, that is far north, around the Chad area, and then Sokoto, around Idela border, they have 6 months of rainfall. But as you gradually go down southward, places like Port Harcourt, Calabar, and Lagos, they have rain almost every month. So when you have rain, you have sunshine, you have a good soil, you have all that it takes for you to farm. You have no reason, there is no reason for you not to farm and get something from the land. Now, another thing that, the next one, please, let's have the vegetation map. That's the next map. We have 5 vegetations in Nigeria. The first one, let's start moving from the south. The first one we refer to as mangrove swamp. Now, this mangrove swamp, please can you take it up a bit? We have salt mangrove swamp, and then we have freshwater mangrove swamp. This area is very, very important because a lot of things can be grown here. But if we are going to talk of any area in Nigeria that is not very fertile, is that area which is linking the coast and the Atlantic Ocean. For some of you who have gone to the sea around that area, if you notice the kind of the vegetation, it's terrible, you cannot penetrate. It's very difficult. So around the coast, most especially around this place, maybe all the way to around Ori area, the vegetation is not very hospitable. Now this area is a fantastic area because it's a tropical rainforest. You have wood, you have palm oil, palm kernel, so many things can grow. You can grow rice, you can grow maize, and so many other things. In fact, maize, you can grow maize twice or 3 times in a year because it rains most of the time. So this area is a tropical forest. One of the advantages of having a tropical forest is that you can produce wood, most especially hardwood, mahogany, teak, what some people call, I think, masonia. You can get all that in the tropical forest. Now, after the tropical forest, we have the savanna. The savanna area is divided into 3. You have, the first one is referred to as Guinea savanna. Guinea savanna, I think this map didn't do justice to it. It's also supposed to extend to that level, but we can make do with it. Guinea savanna is woodland. There are trees and there is grass. After Guinea savanna, the next one is this area. We have what we call Sudan savanna. Sudan savanna is grassland, and you can grow a lot of crops there as well. But the trees, the density of the trees is not as much as this, as the Guinea savanna. Now the Guinea savanna, most especially towards the south, is where you can, those of you who drink palm wine, is where you can easily get palm wine. But there is no way you can grow palm wine in places like, palm trees in Sudan, okay, no, not Sahel savanna is today. We have just, please bring the map down a little bit.
Map down. Take the map down. Down. The map down.
Okay. I hope I hope you are getting me and enjoying this. It's something, it's basic geography, what we did before when we were in secondary school and university. So let's move to the.
You're making me more interested.
Let's move it further. Types of farming. Types of farming can be classified, grouped according to what it grows and how it grows. We have arable, we have pastoral, mixed, subsistent. Arable, that is what you grow from the ground. That is crops and what have you. Pastoral, anything that has to do with livestock, is still involved included in that.
Micro livestock.
Micro livestock.
Micro livestock.
Okay, so it's livestock. I wanted to ask you, it's a short question. Which country is the highest producer of snails in the world? Do you have any idea?
The highest eater of snail in the world is in Europe.
Okay, that is the highest eater.
Yeah, but the highest producer, I can't answer that question.
Okay, thank you very much. So mixed crop, that is when you have both arable and pastoral together. Subsistent, grown just for the farmer and the family. One tragic problem about Nigeria is that almost 60% of our population are subsistence farmers. We don't have the kind of farmers that you have in the United States of America, or in present day, or in Ukraine, or in Russia, where they have mechanized farming. So most families, they grow the crops that they will eat, sell small and buy certain things that they need, and then they wait for the following year to make it. It's unfortunate, it's a tragedy of not only Nigeria, the whole of Africa. We have that problem. So I will need this. Please, madam, next time we are having a conference like this, I think it's very important that you have a UPS.
There's a UPS. Yes.
Then what is happening to the UPS?
Something.
No.
Maybe it was not charging.
Plan, whether to run that money or whatever it is, they go there and keep on putting money every year. And of course, something comes out of it, but they never make profit. But if you are a conscious commercial farmer, you try to make money as much as possible. So commercial farming is just to make money. Now we have intensive farming. That is why you have put high inputs. You spend a lot of money. Within a very small land, you make sure that you put fertilizer and everything goes in, and then if you are lucky, you get a very, very high yield. And extensive, there is intensive and there is extensive. Extensive in extensive farming, I'm fasting, so sometimes when we talk about extensive farming, is when you have a very large piece of land and then you grow scanty. So that is what is referred to as extensive farming. And then sedentary farming, that is you stay in one place as a farmer. Nomadic farming, you know what that is. Most of our livestock farmers, all these cattle rearers, the Fulanis. Thank you very much. The Fulanis who have done valiance in this country because of all the things, atrocities that they said they are creating. They are the herdsmen. They move, if I tell you from where they start their migration, they normally move from Senegal to the Cameroon Mountain. I'm a Fulani man, that's why I'm saying so, because I know. They move from Senegal, but it will take them like 50 years, 60 years. They are always moving with their cattle to where they have green pasture. Unfortunately, due to population explosion, most especially within the cattle herdsmen, they have many young people who are doing nothing. And not only that, some of them lost their cattle to cattle thieves and what have you, so they don't have anything to do. They are the people, they are the bad eggs.
So in terms of communication challenges we are having,
please, can you ensure?
What suggestions we have in planning next workshop? Some of the suggestions be in a venue where the outages will not disrupt meetings.
Can I continue?
Yes.
What is going on?
Is anyone having suggestions on how we can manage situations like this?
Hello, Dr. Chima, can you hear us?
This apart from the okay.
We are on now.
The stable
Yes, we can take that later. Someone is presenting, so we had power outage, but we are fine now.
So obviously the other parties are not connected to this. If they are connected, they will know what exactly is going on.
But they are connected now.
Okay. So nomadic farming, I think I'm done with that. Mostly Fulanis. And then another thing that I would like to point out, amongst the Fulanis, they have different tribes. There are the Watanibes from Niger. We know them. Those of us who are Fulanis, we know them when we see them. Not only the Watanibes, there are other Fulanis that differ completely. If you see them, the way they dress, the way they walk is different from the Fulanis that you know in Nigeria. So you can easily identify them if you know their characteristics. So let's look at modern methods of farming. We have one that is called aerophonic system of modern farming. This one is the process of growing plant in the air or mixed environment without utilizing the soil or an aggregate medium. That is to say that I know that there will be questions on this. You don't need soil. You can grow it. You can grow it. If the humidity is high enough, it will spring on its own, but it must have a platform to evolve. And then we have aerophonic, is the process of growing plant in an air or mist. Okay, I have said that. And then we have aquaponic system of modern farming. It's a closed loop system that relies on symbiotic relationship among aquaculture, fish, agriculture, plant for fertilization. That is where you have a fish farm and maybe animal poultry put together. You know, sometimes it works very well when you have certain things. And then even in classical farming, in the olden days, what people normally do is if you have a big farm, you invite the Fulanis, you ask them to come and stay on your farm for 2 or 3 months. By the time they leave, the land is richer. So that's what most people used to do in the north. I don't know, I think the practice is the same in southern Nigeria. So that kind of farming is system of farming. And then another one is called hydroponic system of modern farming. The hydroponics is a soilless type of farming because it requires no soil for plants to grow. Monoculture system of modern farming. The monoculture farming method is the raising of single crop within a specified area. I hope I'm sorry that I'm reading this, because if I don't read, there is no way I can get it right. Tissue culture refers to a method in which fragments of a tissue plant are introduced into a new artificial environment where they continue to function or grow. Have you ever heard of mango marriage? That is, sometimes when you have a tree, a mango tree that is not producing. I have one in front of my house that my wife planted about 5 years ago. But unfortunately, no fruits. I said, Madam, what you will do now? This one is not growing. So she said, the best is, let's marry it. I said, is it possible? So when I asked questions, they said, yes, it's possible. There is a way they can cut it and then extract and put something in it, and then it will start. But the beauty of it is that you might have 2 or 3 different species of mango on the same tree. You can have, you know Dasha. You can have Dasha, you can have Alfonso, you can have one that they call it Hausa, Duwari Kawasa, all together in one tree. So it's very interesting. And it doesn't fruit every year. Maybe 1 year it will grow like, it will fruit like crazy. The other year it will just grow dormant. Now, drones are used in modern farming. After the train incident, I always want to try to relate things to what they happening in the present context. After the train attack of Kaduna, so many people were saying that why can't they use drones to know exactly where to track them? But drones can easily be shot. If you have a good marksman, they are not protected. And most drones cannot fly more than 20 to 30 meters away from you because you are controlling it from the ground. So whosoever is controlling the drone is not far from it, except maybe drones that are used in warfare, which America, US has, Russia and others. But these small drones that you see that you can easily buy off the shelf for $500 or $600, those ones, no matter, you cannot fly more than a kilometer away from you. And somebody with even a good catapult can shoot it down. So agricultural production, this one is so much. Can we get to that? So major crops, this one is not in the right order. The highest crop that we grow, I think, is maize. Maize is grown all over the country and is the staple food of northern Nigeria. I think to a certain extent, even in southern Nigeria, people eat it a lot. But yam has a place there too. Beans is very important. Rice farming now is becoming more important with the encouragement of the government. People are farming rice seriously. Next please, let me go up. Okay, millet, palm oil, plantain, rubber, sugar. You know what this is? Is this white millet? It's very common. In the north, they use it a lot before the coming of maize. By the way, maize is not an indigenous African product. It was introduced into the world after Christopher Columbus discovered America. There are so many things that came from the old world. Maize is one of them. Potatoes, plantain, avocado, so many other things. I used even tomatoes. Tomatoes was not part of our diet in the old world. That is 500 years ago. So I wonder how our people here in Nigeria, as of that time, were making their stew. Because tomato is very important now in this country. So we have also fruits, bananas, mangoes, orange, pineapple. Even pineapple was brought from the Americans. It wasn't a native of the old world. And pineapple is, if I tell you what it is, you'll be very amazed because it's like a berry. There are aggregates of berries in it. That is what makes it so sweet. The lemons and so many other things. So please. Okay, this is the tonnage of production. You can see maize is on the top, and then we have millet, guinea corn, yam, cassava. You can see that the production is increasing seriously from 1980 to 200 and to 2016. Dr. Ikeji, do you think we can meet up with this production, the increase in production? It's not commensurate. It's not commensurate to population increase. So whether we like it or not, we have to still import, or we must roll our sleeves and work very, very hard. They are just telling me that I have 10 minutes. I don't think I will even reach 10 minutes. Okay, let's go to food security. It's very important. Food security. Oh. Okay. Food security is the measure of availability of food and the ability to access it by individuals. I hope that is clear. The first World Food Summit defines food security as when food exists with all people at all times. There shouldn't be hungry people. There is always food. And not only cereal, everything that is required for nutrition. Okay, 4 pillars of food security: availability, access, utilization, and stability. Hold on. I want to say something about stability.
Online, try to air it on TV stations and bring it out to the awareness of so many people who are not here today. We'll do our best from the media angle and get it out to the world. That's the first one. And the second one is, today, just like I've said before, I'm not a lover of snail, but because of the benefit I heard today, man, I'm just so interested in the snail business and a lot of it. That's the second one. And the third one is the population. I was meaning to ask a question, but I'll just ask the question later. Then Dr. Oji would answer. So, from the population angle was when Dr. Oji was teaching us or was lecturing us, I have this question in mind because my own auntie, she gave birth to seven children, 7 boys. She's looking for a female and she's still giving birth. Presently, she's still pregnant. And I now realize that despite she's my blood, she's one of the problems we are having with this overpopulation in this country. You can imagine, and it's still happening everywhere. So because you don't have a male child, you just keep getting pregnant. So I was meaning to ask, okay, how do we deal with people like that? Because me coming to tell her, she'll be like, I beg, leave that one, you never marry, so you won't know what it really takes for you to look for one specific gender. You know that kind of talk. So I was meaning to ask, so when Dr. Ejide comes, we'll just answer that question, how we can handle family members or friends that have such kind of behaviors. So I really learned a lot and it's really a pleasure having to spend time here. Thank you.
Acknowledge and thank Dr. Chimamo's. He brought me in, falling in love with the IAS, and I'm definitely already a member. I want to thank Dr. Kingston in John, the president and the wife, and by August to participate in the conference coming on board. And he's hosting it in the International. I thank you for giving this privilege. And as a first-time presenter in this wonderful organization, I think I've learned a lot. Snail. I'm going to say it one in my backyard. Then I'm equally looking at the situation of demonstration funds for students, for youth, and for the unemployed. I preached on Pro-Vitamin A cassava. We say charity starts at home. People are growing. My eldest brother's wife, I went to the state, she has grown her own. So with the demonstration fund was set, and I'm like, yeah, even my place of work as a lecturer, we'll begin to multiply it, and at the end of the year, we'll give glory to God. Thank you very much.
Hello. I want to comment on this population increase. I think it's very, very high in northern Nigeria than any other place because of religion. In most cases, Muslims are allowed to marry 4 wives. And that is, you can marry 4 wives if you can take care of them. And not only take care of them, you can take care, you shoulder the responsibility of the children. But that is not the case. I know somebody, he's not my friend actually, I know him, somebody who I've been supporting. He has more than 30 children. Jeez. And he has no job. And he's in Abuja. He has 3 wives. Jeez. And these wives, they are living, each one is living in a backyard. There was a day when he brought the files of 14 of his children. He said they have been sent out of school that I should help you. I said, I didn't help you in giving back to these children. So how do you expect me to do that? You have to take responsibility. So if you go to, it's very, very common. If you go to the northern part of Nigeria, you
find that most primary schools today are running 3 or 4 shifts. The classes are overcrowded, and despite that, they still run 2 or 3 shifts. So it's a very big problem, and it's a problem that we have to address. If you talk to them now and tell them, hey, you don't have to, they say, it's God that gives you. You know, that is not easy. And then another comment that I want to make, when the keynote address was given by somebody from America, is it Dr. Dr. I think if this organization can revive the aspect of Pan-Africanism, that all Africans, wherever you come from, provided you are an African, will all belong together. And I'm a big dreamer. If there is a way we can bring Black Americans who have been oppressed and who have suffered for 400 years through slavery, if we can bring them back into our fold in Africa, that would be great. If we can even provide land for them to start their own country, like Britain did to Israel, that would be a fantastic idea. So maybe it's an idea that should be mooted by this organization. Thank you very much.
Comes to the issue of fertility, depends on the audience. If you are talking to an imam or a pastor, especially a Catholic pastor, if you talk about fertility control, you've already lost the fight before you started. So the use of language, being culturally sensitive, and also looking at the context of telling the person the kind of number of children the person should have. Number one, for a cleric, you talk about both in the Bible and in the Quran. They say anybody who cannot take care of his family is more than a what? An infidel. So they're already resonating with you. So that means you start from the fact that if you continue to produce and you don't have enough resources, and this time around I get personal. What I mean by I get personal, I will know how many wives you have and I will know how many children. I say, look at that child, it's supposed to be in school. Why is he not in school? Because you don't get money to send him to school. So it resonates. The other one also for cleric is health, using the health argument. It's been shown appropriate and proper family planning reduces maternal mortality between 30 to 40%. Would you want your wife to die having children? In fact, in history, for me as a women's rights activist, I have to look for something to hold on to. Have you ever, I'm sure all of you must have heard about the 8th wonder of the world. Out of the 8 wonders of the world, there's one. This thing in Agra, in India. Can you remember what it is? The wonder, one of the 8 wonders, or one of the wonders of the world. Yeah? Taj Mahal. Have you heard about Taj Mahal?
Yes.
You have heard about Taj Mahal?
Yes.
Now, Taj Mahal, in present day costing, if you have to build the Taj now, it will cost about $2 billion. It took 22 years to build, and it took 20,000 artisans to build. Do you know what Taj is? Taj is not a tomb. I had to visit India. I went to Agra to feel and touch Taj. What was Taj? Taj was built by a Shah 500 years ago of Muslim, a Muslim Shah. He built the Taj to commemorate the death of his wife. I don't know if people understand what I'm trying to say. Imagine then, 500 years ago, if you go to the Taj, it's an architectural built by an Iranian, or is an Iranian architect. Every single thing in the Taj is symmetrical. The only thing that is not symmetrical is when the man died, his son said the best place my father would like to be is beside his wife. So the son put the man's grave beside his wife. That's the only thing that is not symmetrical. To tell you the high architectural value of that place. That thing was built because the man loved his wife so much that he was heartbroken. But what did the woman die? He died of maternal mortality, trying to have the seventh child. You get the point? So you can use that. When it comes to your sister, your cousin or your auntie or whatever, isn't it? Yes. 7 children, they're looking for a lady. I used to use the story of my mother. My mother had us 6. I was the only boy. Those days they were counting her, you only have one boy. My father had to go and marry a second wife. They pushed my father, he married a second wife. But you know what my mother used to tell them? Yes, I have 5 women and 1 boy. Give me a few years, I have 5 additional sons and an additional daughter. And that's exactly what happened. My mother had 5 wonderful son-in-laws. Those people who were pointing at him and saying you only have female children now saw the beauty of what the woman was saying. So it's a matter of conviction. And tell the woman that has a 7th child and going for the 8th one, the chances are very high that he could die from it. Because if you look at the 4 reasons women die, number 1 is when they start having children before the age of 18. Now, if you look at maternal mortality disaggregated in Nigeria, it's highest in another part of the country. Why? Majority of the people who die, based on a study in 2004, 70% of maternal deaths in Nigeria are below the age of 18. So if a girl is not beyond 18 and you start making her pregnant, you have set the stage for her to die from maternal mortality related issues. Same thing with VVF, vaginal fistula. It's because the pelvis is not inadequate. As the child is coming, they damage the bladder. And most of them often are not, they die from ruptured uterus. Alright? The second one is when a woman does not space her children very well. Minimum 2 years. And the reason in Nigeria is what I was talking about, nutrition. When a woman goes through pregnancy and she has a baby, she loses some blood. If she does not feel well to bring her blood to the level that it's supposed to be and goes into the second pregnancy, she's going into that pregnancy with a lower level of blood. So even if she bleeds a little, that is normal, that can kill her. Then the third one, which is the one that applies to what you're talking about. Once a woman has 4 children, the 5th pregnancy is more dangerous than the other 4 pregnancies put together. We call them grand multis. If you go and check it, most of the women who die in pregnancy are usually women going for the 5th, 6th, and 7th one. The last one is when a woman is approaching 40 and she's trying to have the first child. That pregnancy is a very dangerous pregnancy. So these are the reasons you can give to. But then, for people who are not so religious, you can now use the economic realities on ground. The reason why Nigeria, we are killing each other, we are kidnapping each other, we have too many mouths to feed and less food to feed them. I think Nafati's this thing also validated my own presentation, isn't it? Yes, sir. So that argument, 7 children, I have 4 children, God bless me, 2 boys, 2 girls. All of them are graduated, the last one was a lawyer. It cost me 120 million to train those 4 kids. In modern times, if you want to give your child the best education money you can buy, at least in Nigeria. Think of it. If you don't invest properly in your children, they become a liability for you in the future. So that's a good, tell that woman that each one will cost her 70 million or 20 million. Multiply by 7, how much is that? It's 140 million. He's looking for another one. Make you no go leave those children for another woman to be more treats. That's the one that is supposed to women. You mean another woman will